Same day, same variety, same seeding rates. That's on 10 inch on the right and that's on 15 inch on the left. Phil? Most of our paddocks are 2 kilometres wide 2 kilometres long and 1 kilometre wide. They're pretty brutal when they cleared it, with a small strip of bush between it. Our strength is our efficiency. We have a gravel road along one end of nearly all our paddocks, because we just can't drive on the sand with our trucks, or we just don't want to either. Once it's deep ripped, you can't even drive across it in a ute. Rob and Andrew were both left speechless, if you can imagine that, at some of the things they see when they visit. We basically get one long spring for a growing season. We're having a fantastic growing season this year with rainfall, and our temperatures sit between about 19 and 25 degrees for most of the winter. So we don't have a lot of time up our sleeve to get things wrong or right. As soon as the planting's finished, we're flat out with nitrogen top-ups and post-emergent spraying. We've got the best wild radish in the world. It loves our environment so much that it just continues to germinate all year round. It's from our district that Bayer took seeds a few years back to their labs to develop products like pyrosulfatol in Velocity and Precept. These are the only products we've got left now that control wild radish other than Roundup, just. And everybody just windrows and burns, and it's just what they do. We've got a grower next door that burnt over 10,000 hectares last summer just in lupins and canola alone. We're almost the only farm around us. I know of one or two others that just don't burn. We've got weeds like all farms, and we need to be very good at what we do to control these. But when I see crops losing tillers in a wonderful season like the one we're having at the moment because they've burnt all the nutrients out of the soil, I know that we're doing the right thing. I think our reliance on growing so much wheat has led to the problems that we're facing, and there's no doubt that our rotations need to be revised and stretched out. And with the introduction of wide rows, we're also getting access to technology like the shroud spraying, so it helps us tackle these challenges head on. But interestingly, this is obviously what we're trying to achieve, like everybody, and that's inter-row sowing. We've got the disc right behind the tractor on track machines, doing everything we can, and we find 15 inches challenging. When we get it right, we get a good establishment, and as you can see with the row in the middle there, when we don't, it's just poor. So that's a real focus of ours, and you just need good operators, and maybe we're travelling too fast, I don't know, but where do you draw the line? Running at 12.2 metres, one of the biggest problems I could see, and that we've struggled with in the past, because we spread a lot of lime sand, was our capacity to do this. But this year, that's spreading at 12.2 metres, and it varies a bit in the wind, but I was very happy with the job that we were able to do. This is our deep ripper. Well, one tine off it. That's it there. It's a very painful process. You're basically doing an extra probably 300 hours on your tractor per year, just running it around the clock prior to seeding. If you've got subsoil moisture, you can generally get through it a little bit easier, but it's just hard work. Your tractors are 500 horsepower track machines and absolutely burning through the fuel, but it just pays for itself. So that's why we continue to do it. That's just showing off. We're running tracks on everything. We don't own any wheel tractors anymore, but we're finding, that just the accuracy of, what Newley's helped us to do with lining up our nozzles and when the booms are going dead straight, we can achieve the sort of targets that we're trying to. So that's the cedar. Some burnt windrows there. We don't burn, but obviously we used to. Once again, top dressing. Some people might have seen that photo just recently. And that's our 30-inch canola. So that was taken just a couple of days ago. So someone 28th of April, came up around the 3rd or 4th of May. That's wheat sown around the same time. So It's a pretty quick growing season. And that's me. Thank you. No worries.
We'll get Walsh. Do you want questions or do you want to go straight into Walt? No, questions. Anyone got any questions for Brady? Yeah.
I figure the longer I ask the questions, you said you had trouble with your disc in the sand. What's the issue with the sand that causes the problem?
If we had, 25% of our country is heavier than the sand, so either red loams or clays, and there's just no doubt in my mind that we'd been all on discs by now. But on the sand plain, just you can get wheat seed sown in the perfect spot, or lupins. Lupins more so than wheat. You can do everything right, and if you've got non-wetting sand around that seed or on top of it, it simply doesn't get the moisture. So our sands don't hold the moisture; it just goes through. So we spend a lot more time sowing into marginal moisture or dry than what we do wet. And we've just got to find a way to basically clear that non-wetting sand, and it's so inconsistent. It's a really difficult problem to work with, and I believe I think it's a lot worse than what it was probably 20 years ago. So I think current practices are just driving it to the point that it's pushing people. No one wants to mow-board plough, but these people are basically between a rock and a hard place. So that's what they're doing. They're just bringing up clay and getting rid of a lot of that sand. It's all on the surface. Thank you.
Peter Walsh, Farms at Minion. For those that don't know, he's a past president and very successful farmer there at Minion, and always worth listening to. So I'll hand over to you, Peter. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Evan. I'm taking a slightly different track than Brady. I've got a fair few slides, so I figure the more slides, the less substance you need. So I'll go with that. So that's basically where we are. We're at Minion. In the Wimmera, we farm on a range of soils that go from good black self-mulching soil to rising red clays down to heavy blue clays. So we've got a bit of everything. I'll just give you a brief outline of how we got to control traffic and why we got to control traffic. So here we are. Back in the 90s, no guidance, going everywhere, thinking we're doing a pretty good job, but had a lot ahead of us. So you've got lots of compaction, rows everywhere, wheels everywhere. As Phil indicated, very bad stands, very inconsistent stands. So we were no-tilling. This was all no-tilling in those days, but we weren't controlled traffic. And we were headed for problems because we were no-tilling. This is back about 2000. This is how we started off with guidance. Marker arms, obviously homemade. As you can see, no-tilling, not getting a lot of soil disturbance. If you look at that photo, it looks like a fallowed paddock, doesn't it? But at least it gave us straight lines, and it gave us visual guidance to keep the boom spray straight and give us a bit of efficiency. So that worked pretty well. And look, Dad was driving the seeder in those days, and he couldn't really look around to make sure he was on line, so he just overlapped 4 or 5 feet to make sure he didn't miss any. So we needed to get a bit more efficient. So they're the lines put in with the marker arm, so they're pretty straight on 2.2 metre. Sort of semi-controlled traffic, like the seeder and the boom spray were lined up, but who knows where the head was. So this took us through. We got GPS RTK in 2004, which was great. Let us drive a lot straighter, and we certainly got better efficiencies with seeding and spraying. But again, the header was just wherever the header was. So in 2005, we had a wettish harvest, and we put in some reasonable header wheel tracks. So 2006, in those days I was on 12-inch spacings. So we had